week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show on a very special Wednesday. Mike, it is...
Huzzah!
I'm so excited
for this one.
I love it. Listen, this is amazing. The first time in the months that we've had all of our Racing Dudes apparel, we're wearing the same shirt for the first time. This is a magical season right here.
It really is, and it's the show of shows, right? Like we've always talked about, should we do these type of big sequences? And we got the guy, and we got all this information out. Man, it's just such a monster weekend with all these different stakes races. We decided to bring the heat here. We wanted to come in with the sequence everyone wants to talk about, get our opinions on the big four races, hopefully cash a nice ticket. A lot of different ways to go. There's one obvious single if you want to go there. I didn't on one ticket. I had a $5 ticket here. I think I got a little contrary opinion in the first race. I'm excited to talk about these four races.
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I will say that this is the most excited I've ever been for a Breeders' Cup in the 4 years that I've been. This will be my fourth one that I really pay attention to. I've never been this excited, and not just from a betting standpoint, but I've followed these horses so closely this summer and this fall. I'm so excited for the show. We get to talk about the big late pick four sequence, the biggest races that are on the card, the biggest money of the weekend. This is going to be fantastic. And I'm happy, Mike, because it's not like there's anything else for people to be paying attention to right now. So we already have record numbers. We have almost 90 people watching right now between Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you stay with us for the next hour. We're going to go through the Breeders' Cup races and hopefully give out some winning tickets, right, Mike?
Yeah, I can't echo those sentiments anymore. This is the most I literally started going to the Breeders' Cup in 1994. I went to 25 straight Breeders' Cups all over the U.S., some in Canada, all over the place. This is probably the most excited I've been for one. I'm participating in the BCBC for the first time in the history, so I'm flying to Gulfstream Park tomorrow. Got 2 bullets in there to try and win $300,000 in a prize pool. I've spent over 20 hours on these races so far. 20 hours. So, and I'm going to put in another probably 15, I'd say, probably before Friday and Saturday go. So I'm starting to come up with a strategy. 2 of these races are probably going to be my bigger plays. I'm excited that they're later in the day, that I'm going to be able to hammer them pretty hard in the BCBC. It's been just a whirlwind of a week. I mean, with everything going on in the political world, and then you got football going on, and then now you've got the Breeders' Cup rolling on in here. It's been awesome, man. A lot of stuff to bet on, a lot of fun to have.
You know what, Mike? No matter what, if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're Libertarian, Constitutionalist, Green Party, whatever you are, if you're watching this show, it's because you're a horse player and you love money and you love cashing tickets. And that's what we're here to do today. Mike, before we get into things, what's the best thing that you saw this week?
Well, I'm glad you kind of rolled politics in there, because I'm going to talk about the election, but I'm not going to talk about politics. The election was one of the coolest, literally coolest gambling experiments I've ever seen in my life. I hope that someday someone writes a thesis about this thing, or that there is a college class. I would totally take it, because the game theory and betting strategy that went on last night, or yesterday morning, from 9 a.m. to today at even still going right now, absolutely mind-blowing, man. I mean, and again, I'm not going to talk about anything that is political at all here, so don't worry. Biden opens up like a
numbers are already crashing.
Biden opened up like a minus 200 favorite yesterday, which is like so I'm going to do this in NFL terms, which is essentially the same as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Saints this weekend in the NFL. An hour and a half into voting, he was minus 700. Like, huge flip from Biden to Trump. And then this morning you wake up and Biden is minus 500. Like, the flip is absolutely incredible. And the overreaction on the Twitter gambling world was hilarious. And this is one of the most mature markets in the world. There was over $500 million, $500 million bet on this thing in the UK alone, just in the UK. It's just mind blowing for it to flip. It's like Atlanta being up 28-3 in the second quarter, and by halftime it's 31-28. Like, if it flipped like that quick on a dime in this thing, it's just absolutely incredible. Someday I hope that we get something that we can actually study the game theory behind it, because there was so many ways. I didn't bet a dime on the election, but for the people who did, if you got one side at plus 400, the other side at plus 400, and you did it within 2 hours, like, hats off, man, because you can just make free money in that case.
Yeah, if you played the middle, if you played this right, you'd earn your Breeders' Cup bankroll in what, a matter of 3 hours, just playing the opposite sides there.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Just absolutely nuts. So yeah, that's my election thing. I thought it was a really interesting gambling case study. So I hope that we one day actually get that, because amazing how much money was bet into it and how quickly the tide turned. Twice.
Well, the best thing that I saw is this baby right here. Check this out. This is the inside track to the Breeders' Cup wagering guide. 31 pages, Mike. This thing is massive. Shout out to, I shouldn't show that. That was there's a little teaser as to what you can see. I'm glad Aaron and Jared are driving on their way right now. I don't think that they saw what I just accidentally did there. But yeah, this is the first 2 pages. This thing is incredible. We were up until very, very late Monday night putting it together. I was editing it. Jared was putting it all together. Everything's fine. And true form with these guides, when they're the really big ones that everybody contributes to, we had a scratch. Luckily, it happened
right away.
The coma scratched. Aaron, by the way, called that on our live reaction show to the draw. So to the draw. So shout out to Aaron for that one. But everybody got to remove Vacoma, replace him with different ones. I was starting to feel really sick to my stomach that I'd left Yopan out of my top 4. So he's now in the top 4. Still don't love that pick, but maybe it'll cash out. But this thing's incredible. If you guys bought this, or if you're thinking about it, let us know in the comments. We'd love to see some of this. Oh shoot, they are watching. Aaron just commented. Oh crap. Aaron's the one driving. Why is Aaron the one commenting?
Maybe we actually have Jared watching for once. Who knows?
Jared's
that could be the biggest upset of the weekend.
He's being forced against his will. He's probably like strapped down, hands out under his pants, and it's crazy. Yeah, they're already yelling at us for giving it out for free.
I like kind of crazy. Only one consensus winner among everybody. One unanimous choice. There was 2.
It was 2.
Okay.
One on each day.
One on each day. Okay. Yeah. All right. You're right. There was 2. And someone picked Tacitus, so we can laugh someone right out of the room. I'm not going to say who.
Geez. And there he is too. I'm sorry. Oh.
Slim would be happy. I know he's got a little scratch on Tacitus to win the classic. I think like 18-1. So he'd be happy if that actually happened. But yeah, the guide's awesome, man. It is every time. It's just a wealth of information. You've got Aaron's selections for each race. You've got top 4 consensus from all of us. So it's a great place to get information and to hear a bunch of different opinions. You can kind of follow along with based on who's hot or who you like. And it's a great way to just kind of have fun with the day if you don't want to put in a ton of work, or if you do want to put in a ton of work and you want to compare your opinion. It's a great way to compare your opinion with 6 different people.
Yeah, it's. I think that's ultimately, if I was a person at this level of my handicapping, if I was, I'd buy the guide. I would want to see where my opinions line up with everyone else's, and I think that's once you get in with the racing dudes and you start to learn how to handicap on your own, that's when the picks still become useful, because then you can see, okay, these guys like this horse. I wasn't thinking about the 3 horse. What is it that Aaron might have liked? Let me go take another look. If I still decide after that I don't like it, okay, but then when the 3 wins, I can go, well, I'm still not as smart as I thought I was. So still got a little bit of a ways to go.
Well, it is great to see kind of who you line up handicapping with wise as well, because you're going to see consistencies of as a person that you kind of end up gravitating more toward. I personally probably play more long shots than a lot of people, so you can look at my pickets and see what long shots I'm playing or why I'm playing those long shots. It gives you an idea of kind of where you want to go there. Aaron is more of the consensus guy. He ends up with a lot of on top winners or close to top winners because of kind of how he caps through everything. So it really depends on who you want to follow and how you want to handle it. And it's a great way to compare your opinions and to learn and to see what we're looking for too.
Well, while you guys are watching, as we go through races, give us who your top picks are. We'd love to see who you guys are thinking about, and maybe you can make an argument that might sway one of our minds. I doubt it. It hasn't happened yet, but it could happen on this show. If anything is going to happen, it's going to happen on this show. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I'm excited because everyone's looked at these races. If you're watching the show, I assume you've already looked at the PPs. When we're doing a random ass Thursday, we're on a Thursday and we're doing a random ass Saturday from Del Mar or Belmont. No one's looked at that, the non-winners of one $67,000 state bred allowance that Magic's going to go 6 deep and miss. No one has looked at that race yet. And so this time we get to talk about horses everybody knows, that everyone's looked at. So, man, let's roll. Let's do this.
I was walking my dogs this morning and I was thinking about the podcast and I was like, God, thank God I don't have any New York bred allowance races or maiden claimers to try and handicap in this show. Thank God. There is a New York bred though that we are going to, at least one that we're going to have to try and handicap here, but Mike's got his paper. Both dudes are excited to be listening. Hell has indeed frozen over. Everybody, it's time for the Breeders' Cup Late Pick 4 Saturday show. You know what time it is. Riders up. All right, Mike, kicking things off for the late pick four sequence at Keeneland on Saturday, November 7th, the Breeders' Cup Saturday late pick four show. We're starting off with the Breeders' Cup FanDuel Mile presented by the PTJF. This is grade one, $2 million race going, of course, 1 mile on the turf course. There's a lot of horses that you could make a really strong argument for. My top pick is the 11 Ivar, who's the 4-1 favorite. Don't love that he's the favorite there. Plenty of people watching that Shadwell Turf Mile win and thinking, well, he's facing a lot of those same horses. Maybe he can get it done. But some of these Euros, Mike, they're a little scary, and I know you're putting some faith in them.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I'm not using Ivar, so a little spice right off the bat right there. I'm going 5 deep without that horse, just to tell you how competitive this race is. If you watch the live show we did on Tuesday, or on, I think it was Tuesday, Monday, whatever, the live draw show, the race I said was the toughest in the entire 2 days. The one we're starting our pick 4 with. Sweet. That's awesome. Anyway, look, this is one of those I looked at a long time. I ended up with a horse that I'm a little worried that I'm going to the funeral here. I did attend the wedding at least. So I'm going to go with the number 5 Digital Age on top. I had this horse on top when it won last time at Churchill on Derby Day. I think that the mile distance may be a touch short, but it did win twice at a mile in its first and second races, including one of those a stakes race and breaking its maiden. This horse has been nothing but exceptional since coming back here in its 4-year-old season. Those last 3 races are absolutely huge. You're going to have enough pace here that I do think you're going to have something to run into. Keeneland specifically was playing toward off the lead or off the pace horses. Last time we saw them during that kind of that fall meet, going 2 turns. Going 1 turn, you wanted to be on the lead or near it, but going 2 turns, you did want to come from off the pace. I think it sets up very well for Digital Age, who is a pretty tactical horse. Digital Age can be close to the pace if needed, but I think at this mile distance, we're going to see him, 8 to 10 back around the half mile point and absolutely flying late. And that turn of foot that we've seen the last 2 races is devastating. I mean, devastating. He caught Factor This, who was by all intents gone in that Churchill race, and he ran him down in the final furlong. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Digital Age on top. And I'm going to use Factor This as my other must-use horse. Look, Factor This has been a monster this entire season. Yes, I don't love the draw, but I feel like there's not a ton of speed here. There's enough to have an honest pace with Holiday in here. Factor This is going to sit right behind that horse. The mile should be no problem for this horse. It's got the tactical speed to be up close, was able to go 47 half, has some 23 opening quarters well beyond the lead. I like the fact that at Ellis Park, going 1.25 miles, the horse stalked and then won. I do think it has the capability where it doesn't need the lead, and I think it's going to have a ton left in the tank if it's able to sit right behind Holiday and be able to pounce. I think this is the horse that's going to be in the lead turning for home, and you know how much I like having these horses that are going to be in the lead turning for home. And oh, by the way, I get to bet a Factor on Breeders' Cup Day. I mean, what could get better than that?
Well, that is a dream of yours. I know that. Listen, we're going to agree on Digital Age. We're not going to agree on Factor This. A big reason is I think that post-draw short run into the first turn, Holiday's going to be to his inside on the lead. I don't think Factor This can be effective if he's not right on the lead. And if he's not faster than Holiday to get to the lead. So Correct. If Holiday breaks clean, he's on the lead. Maybe Circus Maximus tries it. He's been on the lead before. I don't think he's fast enough either. You're going to, like you said, I think he's going to be right there turning for home. I just think Digital Age, who is my second choice, is going to be flying hard. Ivar is going to be coming with him. Here's one thing you didn't talk about with Digital Age. Castellano riding, and this is something I brought up before. I might have been with the Turf Classic. I'm not sure. But I've said, usually if it's Klarovich and Chad Brown, Irad's the rider. Well, Javier was riding with the Turf Classic because Irad stayed behind. That was Kentucky Derby weekend. Irad didn't go. And then Javier Castellano gets a career best effort out of him, 105 buyer out of that win. He and Chad Brown are 12 for 24 at Keeneland together. And only 2 of those wins are with Rushing Fall. I checked. I made sure. But in their last 24 mounts, that means they were 2 for 3 with her. So they're slightly over 50% or slightly under 50% when it's not Rushing Fall.
It's still pretty good.
With a positive ROI. This is a trainer that you don't forget positive ROIs on. You're getting that here with Digital Age. Aaron wrote about it in the guide, but Chad Brown has been saying this horse is at his absolute career best right now. He's peaking at the right time. This is kind of what I expected to see from Analyze This, which did material. I expected him to win the Turf Mile, go to the Breeders' Cup Mile, and retire and go to stud. You're going to do that with Digital Age. I think, especially if he gets the win here, I think this is his last start, goes off to stud. And Chad Brown can escape here with another mile victory. But I used 2 other ones here. I did use Uni. I did use Raging Bull. You used Raging Bull as well. So I'll let you talk about him. Why did Raging Bull make your ticket?
Because I'm scared of Raging Bull. I mean, that's
Yes.
really the honest answer. Like, I don't want this horse to beat me. This was the last horse on my ticket. It was actually second to last horse on my ticket. But I fear this horse. I do. I think this horse is the best. I think this horse is probably the best miler in the country. And we've seen some bad trips. We've seen some bad rides. We've seen some issues with the ground. We've seen some bad steps. We've never seen a perfect race. And yeah, we're drawing 14. That's not great. We're off to a bad start. But I'm afraid this is the most talented horse in the field. And like, when I kind of want the most talented horse in the field, and I'm hoping we get a decent price, 8-1. I mean, I may be forced to throw a win bet in at 8-1. I'm not sure we're going to get that on the actual race day here, but man, I'm just scared of Raging Bull. I'm scared of not having Raging Bull on the ticket. It really comes down to that.
I'm going to apologize. He's actually the last one I cut off. I was looking at an old note of mine. I tried factoring him in. Raging Bull didn't make it, but a reason I wanted to is because I'm scared of him. Like you said, this horse, if he gets to a Shoemaker Mile win, that he had at the beginning of the year,
yep,
that's a winning effort for this race. However, his inconsistency drives you nuts. His form this year, he's always close but no cigar. So he ended up
Keeneland.
Doesn't like Keeneland, but
has a win at Keeneland.
You know who likes Keeneland, by the way, is Uni.
Yeah.
You know who likes the Breeders' Cup Mile is Uni.
Well,
you know who Joel Rosario chose over Raging Bull? Uni.
Yeah, I get that. Let's take a step back on the likes the Breeders' Cup Mile, though. That's a little bit.
I'm sorry. Did she not win the Breeders' Cup Mile last year?
Yeah, she did win the Breeders' Cup Mile last year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she likes the race.
Okay, so she is listen, if she hadn't won the First Lady, and by the way, that I didn't have her and you did, I wouldn't have looked at her here. I thought that she was done, but she seems to have shown that she's not done. Chad Brown, again, like Mark Cassidy got Stormy. Chad Brown kept saying, she's there. We can get her. We just need the right setup. I mean, she's 8 for 11 at the distance, 2 for 3 at Keeneland. Joel Rosario chose to ride her. Jose Ortiz is going to be on Raging Bull. She's got the kind of tactical speed that you need. She could be from well off the pace, which it looks like she might need to be here, especially, 12 post, she's going to have to pull back because that's the short run into the first turn. So I used her, but why didn't you like her?
Well, I'm going to pour some water on you here. It's going to be awfully cold. That race last time out, the one that has her back, would have been her worst race last year. It was the 99 buyer would have been the start out of the season. She beat fillies, and she beat a pretty weak bunch of fillies. I mean, I like Beau Recall. I like Newspaper Record, but both of them are massive prices in this spot.
Very true.
I mean, they're not even close to favoritism. So for me, I don't see how it's possible that you're going to be able to get this horse to take that big of a step up. We're talking about 5-6 buyer point jump here. It would be by far the best race of the season for this horse. She would have to get back to those career bests she was running last year, and we've seen nothing that proves that she can do it right now. I mean, so every time she's been at this deep this year, it's gone poorly. And the last race just set up well for her. She was able to beat 2 horses that she should beat, and now she's in with I think maybe 10 horses that are better than her. I think she's going to be one of the worst overlays of the weekend. She's just going to be way over bet for what I think her actual true odds would be in this spot.
I think you're seeing that with both Ivar and Uni. They both won at this distance over this course last time out. They both looked good doing it, and I think the public is going to be looking at that that's what the morning line odds maker is banking on. You do like
Uni
a couple
loves the Breeders' Cup Mile too. I don't know if you knew that.
Shut up. She likes it more than Raging Bull does. What about you had a couple of Euros here that you used, so I want to make sure we touch on them because people in the chat are asking about the Euros. So go ahead.
Yeah, look, I think one of the best bets, one of the biggest overlays the whole weekend is going to be the one horse, Circus Maximus. Look, this horse came over from Europe last year for this race and ran a 103 buyer. Was a competitive fourth place. Was a competitive third place. Fourth place, just missed third place. And the track was just not to the liking. This horse runs its better races on softer turf. It doesn't want that firm, hard American turf. And Santa Anita was notoriously firm last year when they were running out there. I think this was the worst possible turf that you were going to see from Circus Maximus. And then you look at this as a 3-year-old in that race was 3.8-1. You're giving me 12-1 late in the 4-year-old season for that same horse running on a more favorable turf condition? Yeah, sign me up all day. I think 12-1 is a ridiculous price on Circus Maximus. I think the fact that you get O'Brien and more on these as the connections on this just makes me want to play this horse even more. If Euros are doing well on the grass up to this point, Circus Maximus should be no more than 4-1, 5-1 in this race.
4 of his career 5 wins have come going a mile. It includes this earlier this summer at the Royal Ascot Meet. Got a win there in the Queen Anne Stakes. Beat a lot of great horses like Terabellum, who's in a different Breeders' Cup event. Some people are probably going to look at that last race. I didn't use Circus Maximus. That last race, the QE2 Stakes at Ascot, scratch that out.
Yep.
That thing was a total mess. I mean, it was, it says soft on the form. That was about as yielding as it gets in terms of American turf racing. So it was a very just gross track. I watched that replay and I was like, nobody could try and cover that ground and come to Keeneland and do the same thing. So I'm willing to forgive him for that. It didn't make it just because his last several races after he won at Ascot, to me, he's kind of done this. And I don't know if coming to America is going to make him perk back up or not. You're taking the bet that he is, and you're getting tremendous value at 12-1. So I understand that one. You also like the Euro just to his outside, the number 2 Kamiko.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the other horse that I think just ran. I'm basing this a lot on 2 efforts. Okay, Kamiko has run absolutely huge. The first race out at Newmarket was on June 6th. Was at a mile, ran 134 in the Grade 1 Guineas, won the race at 10-1, was able to just get up in time. And then the last race where it runs a 127 buyer again at Newmarket, but both again a good soft turf. Good turf is essentially hard as a rock. Like that is about as good as fast as you're going to see in Europe. I think this horse is going to be able to take this. Yeah, you're wrong. It's fine. Go play Uni. Go ahead. Be my guest. I think this horse is going to take to this turf very well. And I think if Kamiko runs a solid race here, this horse is going to be right there. We've always talked about how Europeans have an advantage on the turf when you get that softer American turf. Del Mar, Santa Anita, I'm fading Europeans mostly. You give me longer races on the turf at Keeneland, at Belmont, at Churchill Downs. I mean, I'm going to be looking toward more of these European horses, and I think you're going to get overlays because people aren't going to bet them because of the results from last Breeders' Cup. They're going to take to this turf better than did at Santa Anita, and we always talk about how much better the racing is on the turf at those top levels in Europe. The 1 and the 2 horses are coming from those top level races, and they're going to bring the thunder here. So you're going to have to get monster efforts from horses like Digital Age and Factor This, and horses that I really love, like Casa Creed. I'm sorry, buddy, you don't have a chance here. Like this is just
I was very surprised.
Head,
very surprised he didn't make your ticket here.
I would love to play Casa Creed. I really would. I'd love to run it back for nostalgia's sake, but I just can't do it. And I played him last time. I even went out on the limb there and thought, but when you bring in some of these best European horses who have raced more at their age, who are generally facing tougher, larger fields on the turf, who are facing more issues, they're just a little bit better than us at this. We're closing the gap, but the European horses are generally a little bit better than North America horses if you get a softer, not a rock hard turf. And we're going to get that at Keeneland. They're coming here to win. I think the European horses are going to fare a lot better than last year.
I do want it because it's come up a lot. I just want to touch on it for the folks who are watching us. We want to reward you. A couple of people, their picks are Siskin here. Neither one of us used him. I have my own reasons for it. I'm curious why you didn't use Siskin.
Siskin was actually pretty close. Because I'm using Circus Maximus and Siskin was a length behind him a couple times. I looked long and hard at Siskin. For me, it was a money issue. I couldn't get deep enough from a ticket perspective because I'm not going to single Monomoy Girl in my 50-cent ticket. So because of that, I had to trim it down here. I think if you wanted to single Monomoy Girl, you could. If you wanted to play defensive, you could add Uni and you could add Siskin. Those would be the next 2 in for me. Uni would be sheer defensive. Siskin would be more of a price. I'm not going to have Uni on any of my own pick 4 tickets, just to be completely blunt. I'm not going to do it, but I understand why people would want to be defensive and not let Chad Brown knock them out of pick 4. You get that.
That's also a big reason, though. I didn't use the Raging Bull in there, but that's different story. Regarding Siskin, for me, this horse, 2 reasons. One, he didn't do well against older horses, especially last time out. I know it was a Grade 1 Group 1 race at Longchamp. That's where a lot of the best horses in Europe aim for, kind of in the early fall, late summer. Pinatubo, Persian King, both great horses that beat him. They destroyed him. This guy wasn't very close. That was his first time on a firm surface in Europe, which is probably going to be about translatable to what we have at Keeneland on Saturday. The 2 times he faced older horses, he just didn't have it there. He wasn't as good as Circus Maximus 2 back, which you referenced. Also, this horse is going to stud after this. Juddmonte Farms called an audible and decided they wanted to send him here when his own trainer said, before Juddmonte stepped in, said, I'm going to take the rest of the year off. We're going to save him as a 4-year-old. Juddmonte said, no, he's going to go stand and stud in Japan next year. So let's just see if we can get a little bit of Breeders' Cup love with him. So the fact that the ownership had to step in and say, for stud purposes, you need to do this now, that's why I don't like it.
I'd say that's good information. I did not know that.
We will move on to the next leg of the late pick four sequence at Keeneland on Saturday, November 7th. If I can pull it up here. Jesus, my computer's a little slow. It's just all the people watching is slowing it down. This is going to be the $2 million grade one Longines Distaff. Mike, this is the one that I singled. You almost singled. I know you did on your $5 ticket. The 8-5 favorite, all the way outside. Number 10, Monomoy Girl. This is your 2018 champ. The only horse that really on paper looks like she's going to be able to stand with her is Swiss Skydiver. You and true Mike Form decided you're going to go with a favorite and with your favorite longer priced horse. And I got to say, if you're using a second horse, I wouldn't use Swiss Skydiver. I'd use the one you're using. Talk about your horses.
Oh, thanks, Magic. Yeah, look, I have Monomoy Girl 2-1. I locked that in a long time ago. If you've watched the Magic Mike show, if you watched the preview show, you know I'm all about Monomoy Girl. I think she's the class of this field. There's reports out of Kentucky that Swiss Skydiver is not holding weight well, that she's not working out as well. I wasn't going to play Swiss Skydiver even if she looked like she was just jacked up to the moon. So for me, Monomoy Girl really is the play here. She's the classiest horse. The last race on paper looks meh, right? Runs a 97 buyer, wins at a mile and a 16th, beats a couple in this field. Oh my God, watch the race though. She had everything go her wrong way and she was still able to walk away from this field. So I think it's going to take a monster effort for anyone to get past Monomoy Girl, period. That being said, you know how you balloon these puppies? You play them for $5 or you play a second horse and you get that one home, right? So to channel our inner Casa Creed, we're going to play the second horse here. We're going to try and get it home and we're going to go to the 8 horse. And we're going to go with a horse that's improving in Valiance, who, look, yeah, this horse has not run a buyer that's been able to get the job done yet against this type of level of horse, against that grade one. But if you look back, they tried this horse on turf time and time and time again. You get a couple races taken off turf. They run on the dirt. 2 back, you get to see that first real progression on dirt. Pop a 93 buyer, get the job done, 153K stakes race, run right back into the grade one spinster, right back to Keeneland. And man, she runs a career best buyer. She's able to get a win over grade one competition, including Ollie's Candy. Again, I don't think she had the best trip in the world there. I get a later season 4-year-old, a Tappet, which is again one of those that's going to improve later in the season. You get Pletcher on the progression angle, 3rd on the dirt. I mean, this is the horse I think that can pull the upset. I think everyone else has proven they're not good enough. I think this horse has a logical progression angle where 3rd time on the dirt, late in the 4-year-old season, you can see a big jump. She has not reached her ceiling. I think a lot of these other horses, we know who they are. We know who CC is. We know who Point of Honor is. We know who Horologist is. We're not quite sure who Valiance is quite yet. And because of that, that's the horse that I want to take a swing with. So the 50-cent ticket, I'm going to go with the 810. I am going to single Monomoy Girl on the $5 ticket, though. I do think she's the best horse in the race.
I'm so glad that you brought up the La Troyenne, Monomoy Girl's last race, because about 5 minutes before we went live, I was watching the replay because I wanted to be able to remember. I was like, because in my head, I was like, I feel like she did really great. And then I've heard some people say, well, she did. She's been workmanlike. She hasn't been as flashy. First of all, never touched with the whip. Florent Giroux hand rode her the whole time. But here's something that you got to do. Read the quotes. Giroux was saying the entire time, I was never worried. If you think of that and then go back and watch the race and watch him, you're right. He's never worried. I mean, how many times in the turn did he just check? Nobody coming? All right. Still nobody? You sure? Nobody's coming? All right. I guess I'm going to win this on hands and heels. And she flipping took off and did it. So
yeah. I was worried. I had her singled and I was concerned. And then she makes that and it's like, whoa, just whoa. And like, that's why the 97 buyer comes back. You're like, that doesn't really represent that race. You have to, that's a race where you have to go back and watch to visually be impressed with how well she ran.
And she was wide. She was 3-4 wide in both turns. He couldn't get her in. I forget who the horse was. It was a long shot that screwed him, but Giroux was sitting about 3 wide and he was ready to, you can see him. He's starting to take back to sidle in and the 5 horse comes up and forces him to go 4 wide. And you see him like really try and figure out how to tap on the brakes and get her to settle in the turn. She responded perfectly. This horse is pure, absolute, indistinguishable class. Like you have to use Monomoy Girl. If you want to go beyond that, go for it. But this, to me, Monomoy Girl, especially after watching that race, this is my biggest lock of the weekend is Monomoy Girl in the Distaff.
So you're singling her here. Is there anyone else you even considered? I mean, obviously I had Valiance there as a second pick. I looked at Horologist. I looked at CC. Those were kind of my underneath horses that I was using. Was there anyone that kind of made you think about this? If she's like, if everyone's listening to this, they want that second horse. Are we both on Valiance, or is there a second or third horse that you would include at a price that you think has a chance?
If you're going to play Monomoy Girl, you can't play. I don't think you can play Swiss Skydiver. You can try and buy your way through the leg. I don't think that's the right way to go through this.
I agree.
So with that in mind, I would go with Valiance for every reason that you mentioned. She's progressing at the right time. She's a tap it. Saya is going to be riding back. Pletcher's won this twice before. By the way, won in 2015 with Stop Charging Maria, beat a pretty well-regarded, I believe was that Stellar Wind that she beat that year? So, Stellar Wind had a lot of hype. Monomoy Girls got hype. Swiss Skydivers got hype. It could happen if I wasn't going so deep because I'm scared in some other legs, I would have used Valiance here. So I think this was the right horse to go with.
Love it. Yeah, I agree. I don't see a crazy price coming here. I think it's one of those two, and I'm going to probably play some pretty heavy try and exactas straight in the contest here.
Moving on to the third leg of the late pick four sequence for Breeders' Cup Saturday at Keeneland, November 7th. We're going to look at the Grade 1 $4 million Longines Breeders' Cup Turf, 1.5 miles on the turf course. Mike, there are a lot of females in here, 4 to be exact, all coming from Europe. Magical Turnawa, Medaille, and Donja. I ended up going pretty deep because, like I said, I'm a little scared of some of these horses in here, and I want to make sure I had good protection. Where are you going on top?
Deep protection, female, Jesus magic. I'm going to go with the 3-horse. I'm going to go with Tanawa on top. I thought that was the most logical horse to use here. Again, I like these European angles, and man, the U.S. horses I think are just way overmatched in this spot. I made a joke on the pre-show. I would love to see a Europe versus America, or Europe versus North America number on here, and I would be heavily skewed toward that Europe side. I would love to lay like 150, 200 because I'm going to use 3 horses. They're all going to be Europeans here. Tanawa to me is the top pick. Look, this horse has done absolutely nothing wrong. Later in the 4-year-old season, has won her last 3 races with improving time form numbers each time. She's also stepped it up pretty big time from her 3-year-old season in time form numbers. So you've seen this progression really since she came out and ran the first race all the way up. You just see constant improvement. And that makes me think that we haven't seen the ceiling yet. And if we keep seeing that step up and that step up and that step up, it's scary because she's up in the mid 120s now from a time form perspective. And if she takes another step forward here, good night. She's getting Lasix for the first time. She's won back-to-back Group 1s. She won in Group 3 to start out the year. She's already earned $500,000 this year. I think she is just uber dangerous. Then you top it off. This horse hasn't carried sub 128 this year. She's going 123 today. I mean, you have so many different angles that you can just this is like a banana split of angles that you're throwing on there, getting a big spoon and taking a nice little bite of. You can go so many different ways of why you should like this horse. I'm going to single her on the $5 ticket. This is going to be one of those ways I'm going to try and separate myself here. I'm going to go ahead and single her. A lot of people are going to be singling Magical here because of the name. A lot of people are going to be kind of relying on North American horses because that's what people generally do in the Breeders' Cup. I'm going to try and be contrarian a little bit. I'm going to single Tanawa, and yeah, I'm going to end up 3 deep on the 50-cent ticket, and it's going to be all Euros.
Dude, I love Turnawa too. And we talked about Monomoy Girl. Watch that replay. Watch Turnawa's. Pick one. Any one of those 3 replays from 2020. I'm not exaggerating. When I watched them, I put them on the big screen, and because I was like, I'm going to be excited about her. I know it. I put them on the big screen. I got chills. I literally got chills watching this filly. And I texted Aaron when I was done. I said, I don't get why she's 6-1. This should be like my top pick in this race. Aaron agreed with me. Turnawa in this race directly influenced how I'm betting the filly and mare turf because of who she beat in her previous races and who was going to the filly and mare turf. By the way, filly, this was the first preference, was to come here to face the boys. She's never in 13 starts faced the boys. Why would Dermot Weld wait until the Breeders' Cup to do that? Because he looked at who was coming and went, we can sure as shit beat these horses. So we've beaten all those girls that are going to be in the filly and mare turf. Let's go beat the boys. Sumion's coming over to ride for the 3rd straight time. He knows her very well. This horse I'm not kidding. When we're done with the show, guys, go watch any of one of those 3 races. You'll get chills watching this horse fly. She's phenomenal.
Yep, and C-Mellow Yellow brings up a good point here. What does Tanawa actually go off at? I agree 6-1 is not going to be the price. I think Magical is going to be your favorite. Yes. I think that is going to happen. I think you're going to see Tanawa somewhere between the 3-1 and 7-2 range when she breaks from the gate. I think that is probably a fair price on her, and I think that she's going to be underrepresented in the pick 4s. That's one of the reasons I'm singling her here. I do think that she will not get the 3-1 type play in the pick 4 sequence. I think she's going to go off at more 4-1 or 5-1 in the pick 4s. And so I think there is more value playing pick 3s and pick 4s with her than there is necessarily going to win better on the actual race. That's one of the reasons I'm singling here.
Let's talk about Magical. You and I both use her. She's a 5-2 favorite. It's Aidan O'Brien. It's Ryan Moore. People probably might remember 2 years ago at the Breeders' Cup, that epic showdown she had with Enable in the stretch run where for almost the entire stretch, you thought, holy shit, we're going to see Enable lose on American turf. They're never going to send another European superstar here ever again. Really great run. And this horse is 12 wins, 7 seconds in 26 starts. She's always right there. She's never missed the board in 5 starts this year against all Group 1 company over in Europe. You have to love her, but we're both spreading around her. What makes you a little nervous about Magical that makes you want to use other horses?
I mean, honestly, it's a combination of the price because she's going to get bet like crazy, and I think there is a pretty a large pool of depth here. I think you got a wealth of talent in this race, and so I don't want to be here swallowing a 9-5 or 8-5 on Magical, which is what I would expect, especially after I'm saying I think Monomoy Girl is going to be the biggest favorite all weekend and win in the previous race. That makes me want to try and be a little contrarian in this spot. Look, she's ultra consistent. We're seeing that mid 120s time form numbers. I'm hoping that someone can improve over her. That's really the big thing. We know what she is. We know what she's going to run. She's a must use because you're going to get that level of experience from her. You know you're going to get that good run. I'm just hoping that I can get someone to beat her. And that's really what I'm looking for here. I'm not going to sit here and knock Magical. I think that's ridiculous. I'm going to sit here and say, I hope someone's better than her on this day because I think that's how you create value in this pick 4.
And horses have been better than her in the past. I mean, she always shows up, but I mean, you can look back at the Juddmonte International earlier this year. The horse that beat her, Gaiath, would be almost a single in this spot if he hadn't retired, if he was coming in top form.
Would have definitely been the favorite.
A horse that has lost to Magical in each of his last 2 races is both making our tickets. That's the 6 Lord North. Mike, for me, the reason he's on here is because at his best, I think he can win this, and you can go back and look at his Ascot run in the Prince of Wales off of 10 days rest, won by almost 4 lengths. Beat a shit ton of really talented horses in that race. I'm betting that Frankie Dettori is picking this ride because he knows how to win. He's done it before. John Gosden wouldn't send Lord North if he didn't think he had a chance. So I'm playing at connections here and that this horse is going to get back to that Ascot form. Is that where you were thinking too?
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, you have time form numbers that actually beat Magical in the back class here. The last 2 races are what people are going to be concerned about. Ran his worst 2 races on soft turf. Like I actually think a little more firm ground is going to be a good thing for this horse coming over here. So I'm not as concerned about that last race. I'm going to kind of throw that one out or draw a line through it, and hopefully that won't come back to bite me. But if you go back to the Haydock and the Ascot runnings in June of this year, I mean, both of those are absolutely monster numbers on good soft and good turf. Won both of those races, a Group 3 and a Group 1. And look at that, the Group 1, the second and third horses both come back to win. I think the fact that you get Dettori up, the fact that Gosden comes over here, the fact that Godolphin sends us course over here are all good signs. So for me, I'm going to try and take a little bit of a swing here. I like the 8-1 price. I'm hoping this is one of those Euros that gets ignored because the form is a little bit off. And we've seen him lose to Magical a couple times. Because of that, I'm hoping we actually get a decent price. And then we can, get Dettori to do a little jump off this puppy in the winner's circle.
I love the Dettori jump. There's nothing really as great as when you've got a winning bet on a Dettori horse, and then in the winner's circle he jumps off. That when he lands on the ground, that's when I always go, yes, I did it. I'm going to cash on this. It's like a nice little cherry on top.
I'll let a nice little huzzah out if he's able to do it.
There you go. So you went 3 deep on your 50-cent ticket. I went 5 deep. One of the horses that I used that you didn't is the 10 Mogul, all the way to the outside. There's another Aidan O'Brien horse. He's going to pick up Pierre-Charles Boudreau, who's been riding this horse in the past, rode him at Longchamp last out. The concern with this horse, he's 3 years old. He's never actually faced older horses. So this is his first time going up against older horses. However, I'm not worried about that because if you watch that last race, the Juddmonte Grand Prix, which again, this is when all the best in Europe are targeting these races, this horse was phenomenal. I mean, yes, it was against 3-year-olds, but the way that he drew off in the stretch once he got the lead was really great. The Goodwood Stakes race that he won back in July, kind of the same thing. Wasn't as dominant, but he gets the job done. I love that Boudreau is going to be coming over and riding. It's a son of Galileo. And again, he's 3 years old, facing older horses for the first time. But this isn't the toughest Breeders' Cup turf field that we've ever seen. It's definitely tougher than last year's, but I'm going to take a chance that Aidan O'Brien knows what the hell he's doing by sending a 3-year-old to face older horses for the first time in this spot. 4-1, not loving the price, but I think he's got a good chance here. Were there any issues you had with Mogul?
Just the first time against older and the need to run a career best. The combination of those two scares me a little bit. But like you said, I mean, Aidan O'Brien's not an idiot. He's sending this horse over here for a reason. So I definitely think it's got a shot. But for me, you're going to have to see another 10% improvement to be able to be competitive in this spot. Well, maybe 5% improvement to be competitive in this spot with the top horses. And to do that first time against older, especially first time shipping across, can be a little bit difficult. So I'm interested to kind of see where he ends up here, but I'll be taking the wait and see approach, and hopefully that doesn't burn me.
So we haven't talked about any American horses. We both, based off of our tickets here, are very firmly in the camp that a Euro is probably going to win this race again. I used one horse that's American. Do you want to guess which one that is?
Well, it just got mentioned in the chat, the one that I would personally use. So
we both clicked on it at the same time.
Look, Sports Fan USA came in here, said, hey, what do you think of United? This is the horse I would use if I picked an American horse. So I'm going to guess that United's the one that you used here. You also are a little West Coast bias, so that might be why you used it as well.
And I had used him last year.
My biggest concern, that was the wedding, man. This is the funeral. My biggest concern here with United is that we're going from that really firm California turf, and we're going to this softer East Coast turf. I'm concerned you may not take to it as well, but I do think you have a clear pace advantage. There's not a ton of pace in this race. You're going to have Channel Maker up front, but not running New York fractions. I think it's going to be a little bit quicker up front. United could be in the lead or could sit right behind Channel Maker. Probably will get first run here. And that's what I think makes United dangerous. United could be the horse in the lead at the top of the stretch or about to take over for Channel Maker before the cavalry of Europeans come charging. I think one of the cavalry gets by, but if I was going to use a U.S. horse, it would be United.
Well, you're 0 for 2 there. Well, I guess 0 for 1. Channel Maker's technically Ontario bred. I'm using Arklow. I'm going to use Arklow. This is Brad Cox. This is Florent Giroux. We've been saying for 2 weeks that we thought Brad Cox was going to have a huge weekend. The reason I'm doing it is that last out race.
Yeah, your Kentucky Derby or Kentucky Downs form.
Kentucky Downs form has been doing phenomenal well after the fact. He beat Red Knight. We saw what Red Knight was been able to do after that race. It's the blinkers. The blinkers on is what put me on this horse because he looked like a completely different. He looked like the mid 2019 Arklow that it seemed like we were having to deal with every single time he ran. We'd have to try and handicap him on the show. He looked like that horse, and Brad Cox said they've been using it in the morning as well, the blinkers for his training, and it seems to be completely holding that form of how he ran at Kentucky Downs in the Kentucky Turf Cup. This is a much, much bigger step up in class. I understand that, but if I wanted to use one American horse, and honestly, Arklow is the one that scares me the most. You talked about United has never done well outside of California. His first 3 career races were at Woodbine, and then they moved to California, and he's never left. And now he leaves. He's not going to get that same California turf setup that even when he's facing bricks and mortar. That it's just not a horse that I'm wanting to use here at this price. And it hurts me to say that because that I love United. That I love Flavien Prat, and that I love Mandela. I just couldn't do it. I'm going to use Arklow.
Yeah, Arklow doesn't like to win. I mean, against this level, that was my biggest knock on it. Even when you talk about how we talked about this horse a lot in 2019, it only won once in that entire stretch. It ran second and third a lot, but it only won. He was
frustrating as hell last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the one win was over Channel Maker and Stadler's Joy. It's like, it's not the horses that you're facing here. You're facing a lot better if you're Arklow. And I loved Arklow for a couple of those races too. I was all excited about I remember because the jockey gets bucked at Keeneland, come back, and I'm all over it in the Man of War, thinking this is a big effort. Second out as a 5-year-old, you can get some nice improvement. Misses by a nose. All over it at 2-1. A single in the Belmont Gold Cup, misses by a nose. I mean, the horse just doesn't like to get up against worse horses. And now we're facing these. I mean, I think that you need a pace advantage to beat the Europeans, and that leads me to Channel Maker United. So if you wanted to use one of those two, I could see why. They're going to be alone up front. Those two are going to be the speed of this race. They may be able, one of them may be able to wire it, or one of them may be or Arklow may be able to pounce and get home. But it's going to be hard for Arklow to beat the Euros at their game in this race, and he's going to be running the same race as every one of the Euro horses.
It's going to come down to can Giroux outfox everybody else, and Giroux is a very foxy rider. But it's going to come down to, can he get there? Is Brad Cox, if his barn is red hot coming into this race, if you don't have Arklow on your ticket, you're going to be really worried. At least I would be, and that's why I put him on.
Didn't you leave Cox out in the 10th or the 9th? Factor that Cox and Giroux.
That's like his 10th best horse in the Breeders' Cup.
Oh, come on.
I mean, even Bobby Baffert's going to have to lose one race, right?
Oh, okay.
Speaking of Bob Baffert, let's move on to the 4th and final leg of late pick 4 sequence at Keeneland on Saturday, November 7th. The big one, the grade 1 $6 million Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. This is the race that honestly was one of the hardest ones for me to try and pick, because I feel like 7 of these I can make a really good case for. So you know what I did? I used 7 of the 10 horses.
Well, 4 of them are poor uses.
4 of them are poor uses. Listen, there's 3 of these that are definitely not going to be in the winner's circle. And I'll warn you right now, if you drop one of those horses' names in the chat, I'm going to boot you. I don't care that we're almost to 100 people viewing right now. I will boot your butt out of here faster than that horse likes to drop anchor once a horse challenges him. Mike, talk about who your favorite is in this race.
Oh, I went back and forth for a long time in this race. I'm going to end up with Tizzle on top despite the post draw. And it's tough for me to say that. Because I Look, the 2-hole is not where we want to be with Tiz the Law. It really comes down to that. You're going to have a couple horses that cross over. He's going to be getting some kickback around the first turn. He doesn't love that. I also think he's the best horse in the race. I really do. I mean, that is why I'm ending up here with Tiz the Law. I think that Derby was just an anomaly. He doesn't like Churchill Downs. We've talked about that before. I think this horse is going to be able to come back. He's going to be able to run big here. He should like the Keeneland surface more. It's not nearly as sandy with Churchill. It's as sandy as Churchill, which was one of the big reasons why people are talking about him not liking the track. Seems to be training well over it. I'm going to use Tiz the Law on top. It's a lukewarm on top. I think one of the biggest overlays in the entire freaking weekend is Tom's Hot. And I've grown more and more warm to this horse. It's going to be my other must use. It was almost my top pick in this spot. This horse was an even money favorite against Improbable. Took a bad step, and that's why he's 6-1. That's why he's 6-1. Come on. I mean, if you go back and look at the numbers, this horse shows up time and time and time again, and is going to get the trip. He has tactical speed. He's going to sit right behind it. He doesn't mind the kickback. He'll get the better trip than Tiz the Law, and he'll be able to pounce. I think Tom Zatat is damn scary in this spot. So I'm going to use the 2 and the 4 as my 2 must-use horses.
Same. Yeah. Those are, I mean, there shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, we got a lot of new viewers here because of the what the view count is right now. And thank you very much, by the way, for watching. But Mike and I, for the last several months, we've been saying these are the 2 horses we're going to use. These are our top 2 picks. Not getting off of that now. If you didn't get it yet, over at racenews.com, we have a free 14 trends to know about the Breeders' Cup that remarkably, these things stand up really, really well over time. One of them is that the average winner of this tends to be around 5-1 odds. So find the horse that you like the most. It's around 5-1 odds. That's Tom's Day Top, baby. This is exactly 6-1. Like this is my top pick in the race over Tiz the Law, who I love. But between the odds and that inside post draw, man, Tom's Day Top has literally, like Mike said, the one thing he did wrong is that he fell to his knees and still finished 3rd in that race, looking very strong. So that's why I mean that's why it's my top pick too. So
over under 6-1 out of the gate.
Oh, God, I'm going to say under.
I think he's going to be over. I think you're going to get the Baffert money.
I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I'm so sorry. I meant over 6-1. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. I think you're going to get the Baffert money. I think you're going to get the Tiz the Law money. I think I think Tom Zatat goes off at 8-10-1. Like, and I think that's crazy in this spot. I think the horse should be 4-1, 3-1. Like, I mean, I think there's 3 clear horses here. The other one I'm going to use is Improbable. I think those 3, Tiz the Law, Improbable, and Tom Zatat should all be around 3-1 as the joint favorites here. I think they're the best 3 in this race. Improbable is a horse that I am being forced to come around on here. Like, I've not been an Improbable fan. I love the distance for Improbable. There's a whole reason why he's in that next up category, not the must use for me. But at some point, you just got to look at the races and say, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. And this is at the point where I have to say, yeah, maybe I'm wrong about Improbable. I mean, the horse was every time I think it's in a bad spot, it's able to overcome it. He was able to stalk and win, able to close and win, able to get the 1.25 mile distance, able to beat Tom Zatat, able to look good doing all of it. This is the only horse I think Baffert really has a good shot at winning with all weekend. And to me, it's one of the only 3 logical winners of this race. I don't see how horses like Authentic and Maximum Security, who I'm sure you're using, win this race. Like I cannot picture a scenario where those horses are able to beat this entire field based on the styles that they want to run and the talent that's in this field. Yeah,
I don't want to use the Bafferts, but I'm going to do it. Listen, my plan was to ignore all 3 Bafferts, including Improbable, who I had come around with. I was one race before you on that, but that's the only horse I was thinking about using. But I was like, I want to beat these. A big reason, I don't want Tough Luck Bob to win a single damn race all weekend, and you should probably be able to guess why that is. But I can't let Bob Baffert in the Breeders' Cup Classic with 3 grade 1 routing horses beat me. I just can't let that happen. I got to the end of the handicapping and I was going to go 4 deep, and I looked at it and I went, well, I can afford to add 3 more to this, and it still stays within my price range. So I did use them. But I love this. John Paul Varley, he's said this twice now. The longer one I can't show, but John has been on Authentic. He's been on Authentic when you've been against him. So convince John why this time you're going to be right about leaving Authentic off.
No, John, dude, you had a great Derby day then, because you nailed that late pick 4 and probably the pick 5 too if you did that, because Authentic was the horse I didn't use. So go ahead and use him, hit him. Just take the money you won from Derby day and roll it up into here, and I hope that you get home again. Look, that's one of the great things about it. I highly recommend, if you play the Sama Bombs, you like the horse, add it into my ticket. Don't be scared of it, and in this case, Authentic definitely paid off, because that was a $1,600, something like that, pick 4.
Pretty good, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, look, I am just there's more pressure here. Maximum Security is going to put pressure on Authentic. I think By My Standards is going to be up closer on the pace. I think Tiz the Law and Tom Zatat are going to inject a little bit of pace because neither of them are going to want to be too far back from that inside draw. And it's one thing when Authentic is like, these are just better horses. This is a huge step up in class from just facing who Authentic has faced in the past couple of races, right? Tiz the Law was clearly the best horse Authentic's faced, period, right? And Tiz the Law hated the track he was on. And we all thought Tiz the Law was rolling right by.
So did Manny Franco.
And the other Baffert was also found out later to be contaminated. So, like, there's things that you just kind of look at this and you're just like, and by that I mean Gamine on the Friday, not the other one in the Derby. So there's things that you look at and you're like, well, I'm not gonna. I can't get there on Authentic for me. And so, like, I get it. If people want to play Authentic, if people want to play Maximum Security, if people are scared of the Baffert angle, then by all means, I totally get it. These are logical ads.
Also, the way I convinced myself to add them here was I don't want to get through Monomoy Girl as a single. I don't want to get Tarnawa home at 6-1. I don't want to have a get through the mile, which we both thought was incredibly hard to handicap. I don't want to get through those 3 races and then have the reason I don't make the pick 4 ticket hit is because Bob Baffert beat me. That's one of those things that when you say it out loud, Aaron taught me this. Say it out loud. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't.
How's McKenzie doing this race? Like, there's a lot of things I could point to.
McKenzie. I was completely against.
I could point to that. Like, you really think the Maximum Security is going to return to the Maximum Security that we saw in the service barn? I think we have enough proof now in the pudding that is unlikely to happen. I mean, you're using a horse that got waxed by Improbable last time out.
Yeah, that was just bad. There's no real excuse for what happened next. Let's get away from the Bafferts for a second because I did use 2 other ones that aren't with Baffert. First one I want to talk about is number 3 By My Standards. I don't know that this horse can get the distance, right? The only time he tried a mile in the quarter, it was a Kentucky Derby. That didn't work out very well for him. But this horse, if you look at what he's done this year, I mean, every race at a mile and an eighth, won or finished second. Tom Zatat waxed him pretty good in the Foster, and he was no match for Improbable in the Whitney. But he returned in the Ali Sheba. He was pretty game because he got challenged and had to fight back and push away. He's been training really well. This is more of me thinking this horse has not missed the exact in 6 starts this year against several of the best males. He keeps showing up. He hasn't beaten the top level horses that some of these other ones have, but I can afford to go a little deeper. And I just have a feeling that this horse, especially with 10-1, I think there's a lot of value here. Why did you not like By My Standards? Is it the distance?
Distance lost to multiple in this race. I think this is a great underneath horse. I think this is a great slotted in 3rd or 4th in the Super or 3rd in the Try or 4th in the Super. You got a really try hard, like a Johnny Tryhard horse that runs its race every time, but just not as good. And so By My Standards, and someone mentioned this here. I'm going to pull a couple of these up. Dennis mentioned this. I think Global Campaign is a great horse underneath here. This is your pick up the pieces horse. Like it's either Global Campaign or Tacitus that's able to pick up a couple horses down the stretch that are tiring.
That's your warning, by the way. I'll mute you too if I have to.
Well, I'm saying Tacitus could get 4th in this race if he's able to.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
I'm not saying he can win. He can pick up some of the pieces. I think Global Campaign is the other one that you could talk about, being able to run up into the Tribe, being able to run up into the Super. One thing with this race in particular, I pulled up D Kid's comment here. He talks about Authentic not getting pressure from Maximum Security. Breeders' Cup Classic's a little different. This is Bob Baffert with different barns and because the different ownership groups, right? So Gary and Mary West will get very angry if like we've seen it. They might take Bob to court if they don't get the ride that they want in this case. I think you're going to see a little more competition from the specific trainer because it's a different ownership group, and the ownership groups will very much care how these horses are ridden in these races.
Well, that leads. First of all, I'm going to go back real quick. Global Campaign is the last horse that I use, and I actually think he has a legitimate sneaky chance. I can't believe he's 20-1. The reason I think this horse is being completely forgotten about, he won the Woodward Gate to Wire on Kentucky Derby Day. Ain't nobody knew that even happened. I didn't know it happened, and I had to try and write a race report about it. But here's the thing. You watch that, it wasn't much that he beat. I mean, look at the horse that was in second. Doesn't even belong in this race. Watch the race before that, the Monmouth Cup. Do you remember
when he beat Math Warrior or Math Wizard?
Do you remember that race? Because it wasn't Math Wizard that challenged him. He had a rough trip. He was stuck inside. Ball Harbor came up, challenged him. He repelled him. And then when Math Wizard came back to him, Math Wizard passed him. Global Campaign said, and fought back on the inside. And it was such a tremendous display of heart that I was like, God, if this horse goes to a Breeders' Cup race, I don't know if he's going to win, but I know for damn sure this horse is going to try and give his all. And then he did it really well in the Woodward. This is a 4-year-old son of Curlin who is developing very, very well right before our eyes, and nobody's paying attention to it. And he kind of reminds me, Mike, of our top pick for the Classic last year, Vino Rosso, in the sense that he's improving, and people are going to ignore him because there's a Baffert superstar, there's a really good 3-year-old, blah, blah, blah. Everybody ignores him. And we did pretty well with Vino Rosso. That's why I'm using Global Campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to use the horse. You know, it's one of those where you're getting 21 morning line. You're going to get every bit of that value on race day. A little concerned the last 2 races were one wire to wire. I don't want this horse on the lead. I don't think this horse can make the lead in this group. So you're going to have to be able to come off from off the pace. Was able to do that at 7 furlongs. So you do have something in the backline where you can point to that the horse was able to win when not being on the lead. Nothing close to facing this competition. Never carried anywhere close to this weight. So those are 2 concerns for me. Again, I think this horse could logically pick up the pieces. I think it's going to be awfully hard for him to run down, and he will have to run down if he wants to win this race. Tom Zatat, Improbable, or Tiz the Law, because I think he will be sitting further back than any of them, even though he's shown speed in the last 2. Those were not exactly large competitive fields, and the pace was a lot. We'll just say they're not going 112 for 6 furlongs in this race.
Right. Yeah. The last question, I want to get to this one. And if you're watching live, let us know in the chat. We can see it. But no matter what platform you're on, we can see what your responses are. But the dudes are on their way to Lexington right now. And they want to know, which Baffert horse of these 3 would you most hate to see win the Classic? This is a really great question because I don't honestly know an answer. I'm going to have to think about this one. What about you, Mike?
Well, this is easy for me. I mean, this is really simple.
I thought it might be.
You're going to be wrong. It's not Improbable, because I will have Improbable. And look, my dad owns a piece of Authentic, and he's one of 400 and some odd people that do. And I think it'd be kind of cool if they're able to get a win home here. So for me, if it's a Baffert horse that wins, that'd be the most I would most hate to see win. It would be Maximum Security, because I kind of, for the Authentic side, look, there's a lot of people that would be really excited that are not the super rich owners, that are not, and my dad's one of them. And so for me, there's some love on that side of it. And man, if Maximum Security wins, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of questions, and they're going to be valid questions. So let's just keep Maximum Security out of the winner's circle here.
I mean, this is legitimately a good case for why a Baffert horse winning this race would be bad, because you're going to have questions no matter what. I mean, look at what's happened. No matter what side you stand on with the Bob Baffert recent drug positives, this is not going to be good for the sport. I mean, I can imagine that whatever that asshole is, Joe Draper or whatever, who loves to write about horse racing into the ground, he's going to have a field day with this. You can't let that happen. Eventually, we know 6 months, a year from now, it'll come out, oh, so-and-so tested positive, but we didn't want to tell you because we're going to hide it because it's Bob Baffert. So,
well, it was a day cool, man.
Dayquil and making out with horses. I don't think that's an excuse you want to use for why a horse tested positive. I think that actually, and I said this briefly on our reaction show to the post draws, I think Authentic is his best chance at winning this, and he's the lowest price. But it's a combination of trends. You look at the fact that he's the only one that's close to 5-1. He's 6-1 on the morning line. You know you're going to get a lot of attention on Max, and especially Improbable. Bob Baffert has won this race 3 times. All 3-year-old horses that have done it. Authentic's the only one of these horses that are 3. Those might sound like stupid reasons for it, but I mean, hell, that's most of what this show is giving stupid reasons that we think make it sound better.
Well, yeah, you just align enough stupid reasons to be right, and then you sound smart, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how that works.
Yeah, I mean, look, sure, Authentic could win. You know, for me, it's going to be a pass, and it was last time, and it may come back to bite me. And if you're playing the sound bombs like Authentic, put Authentic on there. I'm not going to be one of those with them. If you like my ticket here and you want to play Authentic, go for it. But you know, I just really hope Max doesn't win, because it's going to get messy. Yeah,
most of the chat's saying they don't want to see Authentic win because he beat Tiz the Law in the Kentucky Derby, and I want to use the track as the excuse as to why Tiz the Law lost, not because Authentic's better. That's who I don't want to see win. I don't want to see Authentic win just because it's going to validate that he beat Tiz the Law fair and square, and I don't want to have to sleep with that at night.
Yeah, I mean, conversely, I'd rather, you know, if he does beat him, then at least we don't have to be sore losers about the league anymore. We actually know Aaron beat us fair and square.
All right, that's going to do it. So the Magic Mike Show. Mike and I are going to go through our tickets one last time. If you are watching us live or on replay, thank you so much for joining us. As a little treat, in case you miss how fast we speak, or maybe sometimes we talk a little funny, we got it down right below at the bottom of the screen here, so check it out. I'll go ahead and give out my 50-cent ticket first. I'm going 5, 11, 12, singling the 10 in the second leg, then 1, 2, 3, 6, 10, and rounding out 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 910. That is a $52.50 ticket. Mike, go ahead and start with your 50 center first.
All right, so I'm going to play a 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go 1, 2, 5, 13, 14 with 8, 10, with 2, 3, 6, with 2, 4, 8 for 50 cents. That'll cost you $45. Then I'm going to run right back with a $5 ticket. I'm going to go 1, 5, 13 with 10, with 3, with 2, 4. That'll be $30 for $5.
Boom. That's all right there for you. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this show all year long. You guys have been fantastic. This is a record viewership for us for a live show, really, so this is really exciting. So thank you. I never say this, and I always think about it after the fact. If you can do us a favor, if you're watching on YouTube, just click the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, just press like on the video, press the heart to like it on Twitter, Periscope. Doing that, I've learned that the algorithm will push this into more people's eyes and more people's hands. And by doing that,
we can subscribe on podcast channels, right? Isn't that every other podcast?
Yeah, you can do that too. I've thought about recording that as a bumper to just like add at the end of every podcast, so we don't have to say it because I'm not going to remember it. But any little thing you can do just to help support the show, promote it, it really means a lot to us, to the Blinkers Off guys, to the Racing Dudes team. So thank you so much for doing that. The Inside Track wagering guide to the Breeders' Cup is available at racingnews.com. You can go check that out. It's got the top 4 picks from all of us, plus Ricky, plus Vinny from Real Dynasty. Aaron and Jared are doing this really cool live bankroll thing. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, Mike, but they're showing you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, go back and watch the video earlier. I gave it a real quick glimpse about that. Sorry, guys. But they're going to do that for Friday and Saturday. You can see exactly how Aaron and Jared are going to be playing this live at the track. So that's a really great insight. Aaron, of course, did his capsules for every major stakes race. It's a Breeders' Cup. But he also covers every race that's on the card. There's a couple of really good money-making opportunities. If you single early on Saturday, you can make some good money there. So go check that out at racenews.com. Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you because you have a big weekend planned as well.
Yeah, we're going to have sound bombs coming Friday and Saturday from Keeneland. I have no clue where they're coming from Sunday. We'll decide that on the fly here. You forgot to mention Slim's going to have his bets too for the whole thing. Slim's love these race days too, so he's going to be out there.
Slim's article was fantastic, by the way.
So he's going to be there in the guide too. And then we're going to try and figure out how to do this. But I'm going to be in Gulfstream Park. I'm playing the BC with my 2 seats there. Aaron and Jared are going to be at Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup. Magic is out there in California hanging out. We're going to have to figure out how to get a live show here. I'm trying to get press credentials so I can sneak off into a separate room and at Gulfstream and do some live streaming while we're going through all this. But make sure you stay on Twitter. We're going to be obviously commenting and going back and forth all weekend. So follow me at Soundbomb18 for that. Magic's over at Curtis Kellerwards. Obviously, what is it? The Overlords are at racing_dudes. Magic usually
it's a Simpsons reference. Our corporate overlords at racing_dudes.
There it is. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot going on for us. And one thing I have to mention too, make sure you check back on Saturday. All opinions have the right to change. This is one of those cards where I'm gonna pour another 10-15 hours into it. So my late Big Four may have some slight adjustments here going into the weekend. So make sure you check back. We always try and post the tickets up before race day. This is one of those where it's easy for us. So I'll make sure that my ticket's on the timeline here before we go off. So I'm sure Magic will do the same. But this is one of those where you're going to see some late scratches because we're doing this on Wednesday. You're going to see some condition changes. We're going to want to see how the Euros do on Friday. That's going to be a tell for Saturday. So all of those things may lead to slight adjustments in the tickets. So make sure you check back on Twitter for the final tickets.
Perfect. When do you get back? When do you get back home from Florida? So do you go back Sunday?
Yeah, I get back on Sunday.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
We got a house sitter, we got babysitters, so that completely get to do a nice little 2-day vacation, which we haven't done anything like this since COVID started. So it's going to be nice to get away a little bit and to know that everything's safe here at home.
Nice, very nice. So we'll tentatively plan on being back on Monday. Then I guess that was my question. Yeah. Are you going to be able to do Monday? All right. Well. We'll be back on Monday at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, live stream right here. You can always catch the podcast on any podcast channel. Just search for The Magic Mike Show. You can catch our replays on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. You can also find it over at racingnews.com. Like I said, we will be back Monday unless Tacitus wins the Classic. I've already promised hosting duties to this guy right here. So I will see you guys on Monday, and so will Mike. Until next time, this has been another episode of The Magic Mike Show. I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.